YouTube, this is Salam. This video should serve as general information regarding repair, reseal or replace your injector pump on any type of diesel engine or any type of injector pump. I'll provide you with information of things you should do and things you should avoid before you do the job and after you do the job to help minimize the troubleshooting and you get your engine running again. I'm going to use my dump truck. It has the Cummins 5.9 liter 12 valve first generation engine and the Bosch VE6 diesel injector pump as an example. I have couple leaks and the manual lever, it doesn't work. Somebody tampered with it in the past. They installed the lever backward. I had to repair it, but it doesn't do anything. I believe I have to get inside and fix it. But like I said, this is general information. You could use it on any type of engine or any type of injector pump. And some of the information that I'm going to provide, it also helps if you do any type of work to your injectors. I hope you enjoy this video. Before you do any type of work to your injector pump or your injectors, make sure to wash the engine, wash the injector pump real good, spray it with detergent and power wash it or pressure wash it to minimize the chance of contaminant get inside the pump. While I was buying this dump truck, I already know somebody tampered with this injector pump. They already mess up the fuel line over here. There is evidence of they used the wrong type of wrench and they messed it up. Also, this bolt was missing and one of the nuts that hold this injector pump to the engine was loose. I already added the bolt and I fixed the timing or the advance of this injector pump after I repaired the injectors, and right now it's run perfectly. The only problem with it, these two levers, they leak. Also, this lever was installed incorrectly. I attempt to repair it by estimate how it's supposed to go. However, it still doesn't do anything. When I remove this top portion, I will see what's going on and I will adjust it correctly so this one will kill the engine on normal operation. If you are planning to remove your injector pump for any reason, then you need to remove the timing cover and line up the gears. There's gears inside this and they have dots or line. You need to line those and then don't move the engine. Keep it there, disconnect your battery, and then you remove your injector pump. So when you do the repair or the replacement, when you put the new injector pump or the repaired injector pump, you put it back the way it was. Also, you have to remove the fuel line. Trace them from each injector and use tie wraps for each injector. Like if you have this line coming from injector 1, then put 1 tie wrap on it. If this one coming from injector 5 or 6, then put 5 tie wraps or 6 tie wraps. Or if you have color tie wraps, then use those and take a lot of pictures of everything. When you remove the nuts from these, they have some marking on the shaft or on the lever itself. Take a lot of pictures of those so you could put it back the way it was. Also, mark any wiring that go to your injector pump. This, for example, will kill your injector or the shut-off solenoid. So make sure you take marking on how many wires was there, the color of them and all that to minimize the confusion when you install it back or put it back together. I am going to run the engine to show you the leak and the issue with the manual lever. I have the linkages already removed because I did some repair to the accelerator pedal and to the linkages itself. I made new parts. I will install these after I get this pump repaired. I am going to remove this air line to get better access to the injector pump, and I'm also going to show you after I remove this line how to kill your engine in case of emergency. After you repair or replace your injector pump or do any type of adjustment, your engine may try to run away. So this way you could kill it very quick. I'll show you how to do that. Don't count on the shut-off solenoid or the manual lever because they may not work in case of runaway situation. To successfully and immediately shut down your engine in case of runaway situation, you have to be able to cover the air port at the intake manifold. Don't do it at the air filter or at the turbo because you may have air leak in the hoses, in the line, and in the cooler in case if you have turbo. Always do it at the intake manifold. Don't use rag or piece of rubber or any soft material because the engine may suck it and it will cause internal damage to the engine. Don't use your hand because this has very powerful suction. It will suck a lot of air and it may hurt you. Always use piece of plywood or piece of wood that's flat and clean. It's not rotted, so the engine doesn't suck the rotted wood and it will cause damage. I will demonstrate this process. And as you see, this will kill it right away. Before you start any type of mechanical repair, you need to make sure you have the right tools to do the job from start to finish. In this case, I have everything I need to be able to remove the injector pump, repair it, and install it back on the truck. I even have a brass to be able to remove the gear in case I need to remove the injector pump. I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to remove the top cover, and for that I need round head Allen wrenches to be able to access the bolt, the nearest one to the engine, so I could remove the top cover. If you have a manual for your injector pump, make sure to read it and completely understand it. And when you're ready to assemble your injector pump, you torque all the bolts to the specification of that manual. Don't over torque this bolt as this may break them. And also, if you over torque them, this may damage this cast aluminum as this may deform it, and this will cause permanent damage to your injector pump. To be able to torque the pump to specification, make sure you have a good set of socket and good set of torque wrenches to be able to torque everything to specification. Also, don't use any type of a thread locker, silicone, or anti-seize when you assemble your injector pump, as this chemical may get inside and it may damage your seals, and also it may get in the diesel passages and this will damage your injector pump. Use nitrile glove to protect your hand from the diesel. If you are not planning to completely reseal your injector pump, then don't use carburetor cleaner or brake party cleaner, as this will damage the other seals that you are not planning to replace. Always use a fresh and clean diesel. You could use some mineral-based grease or oil to lubricate the pins or anything inside the injector pump. However, this thing will run on diesel, so try to use diesel only. Also, make sure to buy the right seal and ring set for your injector pump before you do the job, so when you take it apart, you can clean it and reassemble it right away. This way it doesn't sit on shelf and you forget how things was installed. And like I said, make sure you take a lot of pictures of everything before you start, and when you remove the nut, if you see any line, make sure to take a picture, take a note on how everything's set. This injector pump is also a VE injector pump. It doesn't match what I have. I'm only using it for demonstration purpose. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the top cover of my injector pump. I will protect the intake manifold port so no contaminant get inside the engine, and then I will cover the area after I remove the cover. I'm not going to be able to record it because I don't have the setup where I could set the camera to record everything. However, after I remove the cover, I will tell you my thought on how to remove the lines and these 4 bolts to remove the cover, in case you're watching this video to do the same kind of repair to your injector pump. I cover the intake manifold. I'm going to remove this first because it's in the way. I need to access one of the bolts. It's right here. This one, and there's another one behind the injector pump and another one under this bolt. I'm also going to disconnect this line and swing it to the side. This is a plastic, so don't try to apply too much force, you will break it. And I have to remove this line. Also, I have a piece of plywood under the truck in case anything falls, so I could find it easy. Because as you see, I'm doing this repair in the field, so I don't want to lose any of the hardware. And everything clean. I already washed the engine, so I could do the repair without getting dirty. And this is a good idea to do that before you do any type of mechanical repair, because you run the risk of cut yourself while we work with this equipment, and this will minimize the chance of infection. Also, you stay clean while you're doing the job. This was very easy job. I had to remove the tamper-proof cap for this limit to stop it so it doesn't accelerate further. It was in the way of this bolt. I also had to remove the idle adjustment screw to access this bolt. And it came out easy. You need to be very careful. Once you get all the bolts loose, you push on this pin or shaft down and then hold it with your finger and pull it up. This will go like this inside the pump. And this part will be attached to a lever. I'll show you that in a second. You have to depress this spring and remove this other spring like this. And then you'll be able to remove this and then remove this easy so it doesn't fly and you lose it. Good news, this spring is the original, the 388. They have another spring aftermarket. You could add it to get more RPM out of your engine. I don't worry about doing that. I'm going to leave the original spring. Also, the bushing in good shape. I will be able to reuse it. And I discovered the issue with the manual shut-off lever. This part, it needs to be about like this when this part all the way down. I will remove this to be able to change the O-ring, and then I'll put it back together the right way. And I'm also going to change this seal gasket because I have it after I clean this one with diesel and brush and blow it with some air. And then I'll be ready to install the O-rings and assemble it back on the injector pump. You need to be very careful. Don't apply too much force. Don't use any type of heat source to heat the bolts if you can't get them loose, because this will permanently damage your injector pump. Make sure to use the right wrench, insert it all the way, and then use your hand power to break the bolt loose, and this way you'll be able to remove them without damage your injector pump. I'm only saying that because I posted video a while back about completely rehauling the injector pump on my bulldozer. It was Bosch VA injector pump, and I have comments from some viewer. They try to use heat source or other stuff to extract their injector pump. Don't do that. Also, don't use any abrasive material. Don't use file or sandpaper to try to clean it. You will damage it. This is a stain. If it doesn't come off with the brush or rag and diesel, then leave it alone. As you see, it came off with my finger, so no reason to use any other abrasive material. The small spring was right here. I had to press it from this side to be able to extract the other spring, the one that attached to the lever or to the shaft. The power screw, I have to remove the tamper-proof, take accurate measurement from the body of the injector pump head to the head of the screw, and I will put marking to index it, and then I will lose it all the way so when I install the head, I will not damage this lever. It's under a lot of attention. Wrong adjustment on this screw will lead to diesel runaway or diesel engine runaway. So I need to make sure to put it back to the way it was. And always protect the open injector pump to prevent any contaminant from get inside it. This is the power screw. that lever will go right here. Make sure to lose this all the way if you have same type of injector pump, so when you install the cover it doesn't apply too much force and this will break that lever. This is still have the tamper-proof cap, so nobody messed with that in the past. I'm not going to worry about put it back on. But this should go like this, and when you insert this part, it will hold it in place. I will take accurate measurement from the body of the injector pump, one of the points on it, to the head of this screw. And I'll put it back exactly the way it was after I install this cap all the way. I'm also going to pay attention to the index of it. Right now, it's almost horizontal with this part. It favors down like this. So when I put it back, I'll leave it just a little bit less than all the way parallel to this line. I'm going to clean all these parts using diesel fuel. I'm also going to clean my tools. So now I'm ready to assemble. I don't have any of this contaminant have a chance to get inside the injector pump. I had to remove these lines to have better access to remove the 4 bolts that held this in place. You probably don't have to do that. You could just move them to the side to be able to access it. However, I like to work easy on stuff. I don't want to stress myself. I try to remove the bolts, and later on when I try to install them, that's why I remove them. And it gives me a chance to clean them, blow them with air before I reinstall them. This will cover this part. If there is any high pressure inside, this will leak diesel fuel to the outside. Like I said, make sure you don't apply sandpaper or even use wire brush or sandblast or anything like that to any of the injector pump parts. It doesn't have to look pretty, it just have to work good after you finish doing the repair. I will continue cleaning and I come back after I finish, after I have everything clean and dry. I'll blow them with compressed air. And then I'll come back, I show you how to do the rest of it. I'm also going to remove the O-rings and remove this part and install it correctly. This should be like this when this part touching the body of the injector pump. That's why when I go all the way, it doesn't make it to shut down the injector pump, and this will kill the engine manually. I remove this lever. There is an O-ring to the outside and it's very hardened. I will remove this just in case there is another O-ring on this shaft. I have to remove this part to be able to push this lever away so I could pull this all the way. It may not have an O-ring, however I have it open, so I will double check it to make sure what's going on. and separate the parts. If you're doing an injector pump for the first time, make sure to separate the part of each individual function of the injector pump. This way you don't have to try to figure what was there. Okay, there is a marking where that pin inside was rubbing. So I make sure when I insert this, I insert it the right way because this is centrix. It's not centered. And this may change the adjustment of the injector pump if I don't put it the way it was. This is still will not allow the removal of this shaft, so I'm going to have to just rely on this O-ring. There is a minor resistance. It doesn't feel like there is any O-ring inside. This part is clean. This bolt has a collar that crimped on the bolt to identify the adjustment of it that done at the factory. I also took a reference mark at the top of the body and I lightly filed this tab to tell me this bolt should be pointing up. And I took this long thread bolt and I adjusted these nuts. When I hold it horizontal to the bolt, it's be as a gauge to the depth of this bolt. And now I'm ready to lose it. So when I install this, this will not damage that lever that I talked about earlier. And I had to lose it 1, 2, 8, 9 turns. Yours could be different. I will go one additional. Right now it's completely behind the body. I will reinstall this part. The marking is still there, so I know how to insert it. I also put a mark using screwdriver on the metal part, exactly where this line is. Make sure you push the pin all the way in. You don't have to do this. I never work with this exact injector pump, so I wasn't sure how things inside. The port has to be toward this side for this small line. I don't have a manual for this specific injector pump, and I don't know the torque specification for these bolts. The way I go about something like this, I torque everything lightly, and then I will run the truck or the engine, and if I have any leak, then I will torque it a little more. This way you don't damage anything and you don't run the risk of breaking the bolts. Since this is an external O-ring, I'm going to apply a little bit of grease. This should be pointing little bit higher than level in comparison to this surface. Maybe about 5 degrees, if that. I will hold it right there. And then this machine washer go above the O-ring. This part of the spring will go inside this hole. And it's 10mm head nut. I still need to adjust it. It went down below being level over here. This O-ring is loose, so it's not the right O-ring. I don't like these green O-rings. I never had good luck with them. I find an O-ring in the kit. It's about the same size as this green one. That too doesn't feel right. Let me try this green one. But like I said, I tried this in the past on other type of injector pump, and seems like they fail after a while. That too doesn't seal. I'll keep trying until I find the right one. They didn't label them or have any type of documentation. And this kit was cheap. I believe it's like $11 for it. I bought it off eBay. I'll try this O-ring and see. Hopefully it won't leak. I feel just little bit of resistance. Maybe that's how it operates. I'm also going to apply a little bit of grease to this O-ring. There is a thin metal washer or spacer. And this is supposed to go like this. I'll go install it and I'll try it out. I tried to record it, however the camera in the way. The smaller spring go right there and the larger one, and the shaft will be like this. And I have to input the cover on top of everything, line up the shaft with the bushing and push it all the way. And I need to be very careful with this lever so I don't break it. I installed and tied all these 4 bolts. And I used the lever on the manual fuel pump, and I injected diesel to fill the injector pump with diesel. So when I bleed the line, it will be easier. After I installed everything, the only bleeding I did is over here. I loosened this line, bumped the manual lever on the fuel pump until the diesel started coming from here. I closed it. I tried to run the truck. I was ready with the block of wood to block the intake. The truck ran fine. I didn't have to do that. It idled perfectly. This one didn't leak. This one was leaking a little bit. I was able to kill the engine from here, so this one worked perfectly right now. I end up removing this and replace the O-ring, and I use the green one that came with the kit, and now it doesn't leak. I already tried it. The engine ran perfect. It rev real good. In the future, if this one starts leaking, I will take the shaft and the bushing and go to the O-ring place and have them match it to better ring to fit this setup so it doesn't leak. Those green rings, I only have good luck with them when use them with AC. However, with diesel, they always seems like they fail after a while. The spring broke, so I didn't install this correctly. I installed it the way they had it. It's supposed to be installed different, so when you bottom it out, it has little bit more spring at this end. I'll leave it alone. In the future, I'll repair it if I have to. I will reposition the camera, show you how the truck runs, and then I will install my homemade levers and all that for the accelerator, and then I will install the intake hose, and I'll give you my final thought regarding this. Sometimes you have to do further bleeding. If you try to run your truck and the engine doesn't start, you have to lose this bolt over here and pump with the manual lever on the fuel pump until diesel start coming out from here. Then you close this one, try to run it. If it doesn't start after like 10 seconds, then what you have to do, you have to loosen the injector line, nut at the injectors, all of them, and then crank the engine until you start seeing diesel coming from all of them, and then you close the line, refire your engine should fire. If these lines, they have air, the engine will not start because the air is compressible, so the pump will never build the pressure to deliver it to the injectors. I will reposition the camera, restart this truck, show you how it runs, and then I show you the final result. If your engine doesn't start and you have to bleed the injectors line, you need to loosen this larger nut. The smaller bolt on the side of the injector, that's the return line. Don't worry about that. Leave that tight. I had to fabricate this part and replace the ear on this part because both of them, they were wore out and there was a lot of play in them. Originally, they used this spring only to go from here to this. However, this is very hard spring. It makes it very hard to press on the accelerator. I found this spring in my shipping container and I'm using this setup temporary. I'll find me a spring to this length and I'll drill this so it will connect here to make it work better. It's very good. It feels right on the accelerator when I press it. I'll go fire the truck and I use the inside accelerator to accelerate the engine. After a few minor repairs, the engine ran way better than it used to be. I adjusted the valve lashes. I also removed all the injectors, cleaned them, readjusted the power pressure to specification. I removed the exhaust manifold, it was cracked. I welded it and milled it flat. I had to make a new adapter to go between the turbo and the exhaust pipe. The original one didn't allow me to tie it all the way and it was leaking exhaust gases around the engine and sometimes it gets inside the cab. I also had to do this repair to the injector pump. I highly suggest do one repair at the time, restart your engine and make sure everything works perfectly before you proceed. This will minimize the gas if you try to restart your engine and doesn't restart. Make sure to tie all the hardware to your injector pump, especially the jam nuts for the adjustment needles or screws, because this could lead, if you're driving on the highway and the nut got loose and the bolt lose itself, then your engine may die. If vibration caused the bolt to tie itself, then when you let go of the accelerator, you may have high RPM. So make sure everything is tight. Also make sure to use a new filter, a clean diesel. This will also help to extend the life of the injector pump and the injectors. If there is anything I didn't cover, or if you have any question, please leave it in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer your question. I hope this video was informative. Thank you for watching and thank you for your support, and I'll see you later.